So in front of you, you can see a spreadsheet that I've made. There's a link to this spreadsheet in the video notes, so anybody can go to it, copy it to their Google Drive account, and then edit their version of it. Now this video, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the general idea of this spreadsheet. I'm going to show you how it works, and we're going to do month 1. The next videos will be month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, and month 6, okay? First of all, let's look at the overview. Now we're in the overview tab, as you can see. So the overview of month 1 then is to start initial training and build habits. This is extremely important when you're trying to break an addiction, because what you're doing is you're replacing your previous bad habits with good ones. This will all feel very new to you and a little bit weird, and you probably feel you don't know what's going on. So when you have this plan in front of you, it will clear things up a bit. Well, it will clear things up a lot, and it'll allow you to have some idea of where you're going. You're going to get used to going out regularly on your bike with an aim. Now, as well as the actual training, the actual exercise bit, you're also going to develop the habits of maintaining your bike, cleaning your body after each ride, stretching and so on. So it's a complete system. Now, this all goes towards creating positive habits for yourself. When you take drugs, whatever they are, you are instantly rewarding yourself. You're instantly providing pleasure, relief, satisfying a craving, whatever it is. You're getting that immediately. That's not healthy, no matter how good it feels at the time. This training system will reverse that. Now, at the very start of this training program, probably your mind is still going to be stuck in this instant reward mindset. So you're going to go out on your bike, you're going to expect miracles. You're going to expect to be like, Chris Froome within a week. That's not going to happen. But what will happen is you'll slowly improve. This is really important to understand. It's also important to understand that this is completely the opposite to taking drugs. As a drug addict myself, I know, and you know, that the first few times you take whatever drug it is you get hooked on, that's the best. And then all the other times after that, you're trying to relive those first few times. Every time you do it, you need more and more to get the same similar effect, but it's never as good. But you get addicted. And then as you progress through your addiction, it becomes more and more horrible to take the drugs. And then you start to really suffer. With training, with fitness, it's the opposite. The first few times, probably you'll have some fun, but it gets better and better and better the fitter you get. This is what you need to retrain your mind into accepting. Let's move on to month 1. So we're going to open the month 1 tab. Now, wow, look at this. Loads of information. So first of all, top corner, you've got month 1. Now, this is not actually a month, as in a calendar month. It's 4 weeks. So we're going to work on 4-week loops, okay? So month 1 is 4 weeks. Month 2 is 4 weeks when that loads. Month 3 is 4 weeks. Underneath that, the yellow here, that's today's date. Now, that automatically updates every day to whatever day it is. Here we've got days of the week, so Monday to Sunday. Now let's consider that a training week starts on Monday and finishes on Sunday. Now this assumes that you're working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. If you're not, then you can fine tune this system to fit your working schedule. Feel free to contact me and I can help you do that. That's not a problem. We can modify it to fit your working life or whatever, okay? Next we've got work. Now, is your work on or is your work off? Okay. If you change this to off, it automatically changes to purple for you. So if you have a day off work, you can just change that and that will change to purple. And then you can change the action plan on that day because you'll have a full day to do stuff. Now, the next thing to note about this column, look at the top here, we've got rain. Now, rain, of course, messes with your training a little bit. And that's something you're going to have to get used to. But it's a very good thing to get used to because when you're taking drugs, you're in your own bubble. You don't really connect with the world. But when you're training, you're outside and you start to rely on and you start to have your life affected by weather. Now, I found when I was getting clean, when I started training, I really enjoyed it when it rained because, going out in the rain when you're not taking drugs and you're clean, you feel a real deep connection with the world. So I've included that on this column so you can start to sort of feel at one with the universe and feel at one with the planet. So what we do is then, if you change whatever day to rain, it changes to colour, okay? And then at the very top of the column, it calculates how many days of rain there are per month. This is just interesting to see, really. So when you get to your second year of training, you can look through and then you'll be able to plan based on the expected precipitation. Now, looking here, this is the 1st of June 2017. You can change this to whatever day you want to start. And you don't have to start this system on a Monday if you don't want to. Again, like I say, I can fine tune this for you. But again, just for simplicity's sake, I've done it as the 1st of June 2017. Whatever date you start, you can change that yourself. To keep track of what day it is and to keep track of how many days you've done, I've made a sort of tracking system in this. Now, today's date is the 27th, but if we add, just for argument's sake, 10 days to that, you'll see that in 10 days' time, it's going to be the 6th of June 2017. And now this moves down across the spreadsheet. So this will automatically update every day. Whatever is the big yellow day, that's the day you do stuff. And all the stuff in grey is all the stuff that you've already done. Next, the big column in the middle, this one, this is all the training that you're going to do. We're going to get into that later. Next, we've got the distance. So that's how far you're riding. Each week, it totals automatically here. So if you add, for example, another 10 kilometres there, it'll add another 10 kilometres to the grand total. At the top of the screen here, that's the grand total for the month. Okay, so you can see how many kilometres you've done for the month. As you progress through this, you'll start to do things like, give yourself a monthly target, perhaps. And that's a little bit in the future. But say, for example, if your monthly target is 500 and you get to week 3 and you're sort of expecting, if I do 135 in week 4, I'm only at 495, you can tack an extra 5 kilometers onto one of these rides and that'll bring you to 500. That's a good way to sort of push yourself. Next column then, that's your body weight. Now, you are going to track your body weight for the first 6 months. After 6 months, it's really up to you. You don't have to track it if you don't want to. You can continue tracking it. It's all good. But I think for the first 6 months, you need to track it. This will show you how much you're losing. There's other things that can indicate fitness and progression, but weight is a really good one at the start. As you get to the sort of 6 month point, your fitness is going to get really good. So you'll start to do things like develop a bit of muscle, which will skew the weight readings a little bit. But from the very start, I think let's stick your weight in every day. Don't worry if it goes up and down a bit. It will do. But if you stick with it, it will come down gradually. Or if you're horrifically underweight because you've been a meth head for about 10 years, you can get a bit of weight added to yourself. Now, the next column, notes. This is the notes section. All the activities in the training are just sort of explained in, as simply as possible. This gives a little bit of extra information about any activities there. As you go through this, you can overwrite the notes here with your own comments. So for example, if you felt really good one day, you can just type in, I felt really good this day. It's almost like a diary. And you can look back on it over the months and you can start to realise how far you've come. You can also put in stuff about how you're feeling about, your addiction as well. How often are you thinking about it? How did the riding go? How's it affecting things? Just, keep a bit of a diary there. In month 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, I haven't actually filled in any information yet because I'll do that in subsequent videos. So day 1 is Monday. It doesn't matter what time of day you do this, but you're going to weigh yourself. Stick the weight in here. Then you're going to take a photograph of yourself, full body, with your kit on that you've bought yourself. You're not going to look very good. You'll probably look a sweating, pallid, fat, junky mess because that's what you are. But this is the worst you're going to look. And you'll look back on this in 6 months' time and you'll go and you'll compare it to yourself now and you'll think, fucking hell yeah. Take your blood pressure, make a note of it. I haven't put blood pressure on here because blood pressure goes up and down all the time. It's not a set reading for the day. Don't worry if your blood pressure is a bit high at the moment. You'll take it regularly. And then that will allow you to track your progress as well. That's day 1. So day 1 is extremely easy. Day 1 of training will take you about 6 minutes and then you can continue laying down in bed crying. Tuesday. Right, Tuesday, here we go. Tuesday's the first day of physical activity. You will need to, first of all, plan a route. Now, the route needs to be 20 kilometres. So again, look here, we've got the distance for that day. It's 20 kilometres. You need to plan a route of 20 kilometres. You could go out and back along the same roads, but it would be better to have a complete loop. If you go out and back along the same road, it becomes a little bit like work. If you've got a complete loop, I find that you feel like you've been on a journey, which is good for your mind. And it allows you to process a lot of mental information and a lot of anguish that you will be going through in these early stages in the form of a sort of an adventure and a journey. Then what you're going to do is you are just going to ride your bike 8 kilometers out. Okay, so the first 8 kilometers, just ride it, whatever speed you want to go at. Don't push yourself, just ride. As you start to ride, your body will start to warm up. Your body will start to warm up and your mind will start to warm up. Now with exercise, especially when you're coming off an addiction, the physical warmth just happens by itself and your body just starts to become a bit looser and feel like, you can put a bit more power down and you start to feel a bit like your heart's going and maybe you start to sweat a little bit. That's cool. The mental warm up, what will happen is you will feel really good when you start riding your bike for about 30 seconds. Then you're going to start to feel a bit anxious and you're going to start to feel a bit, what am I doing? Now, this is natural. This is normal for when you're coming off an addiction and you're getting into exercise. You'll start to feel out of sorts and you'll start to sort of dwell on things that are like negative stuff, and you'll start to process things in your mind that have annoyed you, for example, or you'll start to sort of dwell on things that are not quite right, and maybe you'll start to think about some of the regrets you have from your addiction, what you've done, and all the things that are wrong at the moment and why you wish it could change. Now, that's part of the warm-up. No matter how bad this gets during these first 8 kilometers and during this whole first ride, stick with it. Okay, because this is part of getting over the addiction. Generally, every human has their own set amount of time it takes them to warm up. For me, it's about 41 minutes. I've worked it out over the years. When I get to like the sort of 30-minute point, even now, after being clean for 5 years, I get a bit of mental going on, right? I get a bit, I feel a bit sort of anxious or not quite right. Once I get over that, it takes a couple of minutes and then my body, wham, I'm warmed up. Then, bam, I'm feeling positive again. Okay? Even now, I get that. When I first got clean, I was in agony, mental agony, right up until the point I warmed up. You are going to be the same. Okay? But again, don't worry about this. This is all part of getting clean. And the more you do this, the more times you do this, the more times you warm up and go through this mental anguish, the more you're exercising your brain and the more you're cleaning out your emotions, and the more recovered you're going to get. So what you do is you ride out 8 kilometers. When you get to the 8 kilometer point, now you'll just be looking down at your Garmin or your phone. For the next 2 kilometers, you're going to do some stuff. Okay, you're going to do a bit of action. Then once you've done those 2 kilometers of action, just ride home. So the 8 kilometers out is you warming up. The 2 kilometers of action is you pushing yourself and training. And then the 10 kilometers back is you just riding back and warming down. So those 2 kilometers, what are you going to do? Have a look at the action bit. This is going to be real low-level stuff, but essentially what you're doing is intervals. As you progress through this plan, your intervals are going to get harder and longer, and they're going to vary more. But first of all, you're going to try out some real simple stuff. Now, you need to have set up your Garmin so that you can see how many seconds you've been riding. Set up on the first page a timer, which will tell you how many hours, minutes, and seconds you've been riding for. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to ride out the 8 kilometers. As soon as you get to that 8 kilometers point, start looking at the timer. You are going to do 10 seconds of fairly high intensity for you activity. Then you're going to have 10 seconds rest. Then you're going to go 10 seconds on again. Then you're going to have 10 seconds off. And that's going to be 3 times. For this first time out, all you do is you just change into an easier gear to the one you're riding in. And then you just spin your legs at over 100 RPM. So it should just feel like you're spinning in thin air. Now, all you're doing there is you're just getting your body moving quicker than it's moved probably ever before, or at least in the last decade. Then once you've done that 3 times, you just ride along a bit, and then you do it again. Then you rest again, and then you go again. Okay, so that's 3 sets. Then once you've done that, you should be nearly at the 10 kilometer point, and then just ride home. Once you get home, don't think that the training has stopped when you walk in the door. It hasn't. Training stops when your body's clean and your bike's clean. So what you do first is you put your bike in wherever it gets stored. You take your kit off. You put the kit in the washing machine. It has to be washed every day. You take the helmet into the shower with you. You wash the helmet with soap around the pads and the chin strap. And then you wash your body, dry your body, and then hang your helmet up somewhere to dry. Then clean your bike. Okay, that doesn't mean hose it down with water. It means get some wet tissues or some wet wipes and just wipe off the dirt, clean the chain. Then you plug your Garmin in to charge. At any point during that procedure, if you want to drink some water, you feel thirsty, do it. Just chug a load of water. Once you've done all that, then you eat something. Then your training's finished. Now, the first time you do this, it's going to take you an hour or 2 hours after getting home to do this. But you will get faster at this. You'll get a lot quicker. Next day, we are going to do lower back strengthening. Now, the lower back is key to riding. It's the bit that gets really tight if you don't stretch it. And if it gets over tight and you pull a muscle or it locks up or whatever, you're buggered, basically, until you spend weeks loosening it off. So from the very beginning, you're going to work on that. Now, I'm not going to explain how to do that. Just check out this YouTube link, okay? Then, the next day, you're going to do exactly the same as Tuesday. However, this time, try and go a little bit faster, or at least the same speed. When you finish your first ride on Tuesday, you'll upload that to Strava and you can start analysing the data. Now, the first thing to look at is the average speed, okay? When you do the activity again on Thursday, try and keep the same average speed. Next, on Friday, you're going to do planks for your abs. I'm not going to explain how to do that, just look at the link, okay? Saturday and Sunday, generally in cycling, for most people who have day jobs, is the day when the bigger rides happen. So you're going to get into the habit of doing bigger rides on the weekend. So for this first week, you're going to do an extra 10 kilometers to what you've been doing already. Go into Ride with GPS and make a loop, but make it somewhere different. Every time you go somewhere new on your bike, it makes you feel like you've been exploring the world and expanding your world. When you get addicted to drugs, your world becomes actually very small, right? You don't go out, you don't travel so far, you're not interested in, adventure. You become very introverted. So if you go out on some different routes, you try and look at some new areas, that's really good for your mind, especially in the early stages. Sunday, now, despite saying that, what you're going to do is you're going to go and do exactly the same route that you've done on Saturday, okay? But you're going to try and do it a little bit faster, okay? Or at least the same speed. Now, about doing these rides on Saturday and Sunday, at this point, you need to start looking at your cadence, which is how fast your legs spin round. Now, if you've got a Garmin, chances are you'll have a cadence meter on your bike. And this will tell you how fast your legs are spinning. Try and keep your cadence over 90 in the early days. As you get better, your cadence will come up. After your first week, you'd have ridden 100 kilometers, which is incredible and really good. Probably you'll feel a bit tired. Don't worry too much about that. The next weeks are sort of fairly easy to understand now that we've gone through week 1. You're going to do exactly the same thing again, basically, but you're going to increase it a little bit. So same as before. So Tuesday and Thursday's training will be the same thing again, but this time you are going to do 4 sets instead of 3 sets. Monday, Wednesday and Thursday strength activities just explain themselves. They're the lower back strengthening and the planks thing again. The weekend this time though, you're going to increase the distance a bit. You're going to go 40 kilometers. So what you do there is you look at the previous route you made from week 1 and you add 10k to it in Ride with GPS. Try and go somewhere that you want to go that looks a bit interesting, okay? Don't just ride an extra 5k up and down a road with cars on it. Try and find like a back road or something that might be a little bit funny to ride down. Again, this is all about expanding your world and finding out about your local surroundings, okay? Again, Sunday, just do it again. Then week 3, what you're going to do is, same thing again, you're going to do Tuesday and Thursday on, with Monday, Wednesday and Friday as the strengthening activities, but the action activity on Tuesday and Thursday changes a little bit. Now, previously, you were doing this spinning your legs really fast thing in an easy gear. What you're going to do now is you are going to drop down 2 gears on the back, on the cassette, and then you're going to try and keep riding at the same cadence. So essentially what you'll be doing there is you'll be putting more power down for the same leg speed. That will start to build a bit of muscle in your legs. Now, look at Saturday and Sunday here. Again, Saturday, you're going to add 10k to the previous week. So you'll be doing 50k, you're doing a 50k ride. Then, on Sunday, you are going to use the reverse route function in Ride with GPS. Now, that's pretty easy. All you do is you click reverse route, and it just does it backwards for you. And then you copy that to your phone or your Garmin, okay? So you do exactly the same route, but you just ride it backwards. And then that means you would have done 140 kilometers for the week, all right? So you're really starting to increase the distance. Look at the notes here for Saturday and Sunday. This time, instead of trying to keep a cadence of 90, you're going to try and keep a cadence of 92, okay? If you have included any sort of climbing on this route, as you hit the climb, if your cadence starts to drop, which it will if you're in the same gear, change to an easier gear until you get back to that 92 RPM. If you're in your easiest gear and you can't keep 92 RPM, just ride that gear. Eventually you'll be all right after a couple of months, okay? The last week, don't worry about this being green, but what you're going to do on Tuesday is you are going to add a bit of distance to it. And also you're going to add a bit of intensity, okay? So your action will be the same action you were doing the last 2 training days, which is dropping down 2 gears to make it a bit harder for yourself. Now, instead of doing 3 sets, you're going to do 4 sets. Then On Thursday, you're going to increase it again. So instead of doing 15 seconds sets, you are going to do 20 seconds sets. So that's bringing up the intensity. This is still pretty simple stuff, pretty easy, but this will start to train you into consistently pushing yourself, which is another thing you need to learn how to do when you get off an addiction, because this is constant self-improvement rather than just sitting in every day, taking drugs and then going nowhere. In the notes, I've included information about how to pace yourself throughout these different sets. The activity on Saturday and Sunday, what you're going to do is slightly different to the last 3 weeks. This is going to be the last week of this first push. You are going to do a bigger ride on Saturday, and then you're going to chill out on Sunday. In total, your weekly distance will actually be less than week 3, but the intensity will be more. Saturday, you're going to add 15 kilometers to your previous week's ride. So that's 65k. That's getting to be a fair bit of distance you're doing there. As well as just riding it, which is what you've been doing before, you're actually going to include a little bit of training in there as well. A little bit of sort of interval work. For the last 5 kilometers, you're going to do Tuesday's action plan. So you're going to ride 60k, and then the last 5 kilometers, you're going to go a little bit hard. So you tack Tuesday's action plan onto the end of the ride. Okay, this will probably be quite hard and you'd have to push yourself. If you can't do it, don't worry, just ride until your legs can't handle it. Then go home, clean your body, clean your bike, and then on Sunday, all you're going to do is you're going to repeat the loop you did in week 1, Saturday's week 1. And then I want you to mentally compare how it felt in the first week to how it feels now at the end of week 4. It should feel a lot easier. Also, looking at your weight should have started to drop. And you should have started to develop a real sense of mental clarity, a sense of purpose, and a sense that you're doing something positive to improve yourself. Now, despite doing this for 4 weeks, don't expect miracles. It takes years to get really, really fit. But this is month 1 done. If you continue through month 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which you will do, you're going to be absolutely on fire very soon. So that's the end of month 1 done. Pretty simple, pretty basic training. I'm sure there's lots of people who would, change little elements of this, but the idea is not really to get fit here. It's to kickstart your fitness, but it's also to start breaking this addictive mentality. And through this gradual start and this gentle pushing of yourself and exploring your local area by yourself under your own steam, clean, you've really made a good start. Okay, so that's month 1 done. In the next video, we're going to do month 2.